Hey everyone, Kyle once again, aka Jurassic Godzilla fan. Welcome back to another review. Um, this one I'm gonna do another review, but I know the next reviews I'm gonna be doing are more on Disney films, but this one I just had to just get this one over with first because you know um it's another rant, another remake. But I just wanted to get this one out of the way first before I get to my other reviews. Of course, it's the remake, which I watched today, Red Dawn, which which was released in November 21st, last year, 2012, and it was released today, and November 21st. So if I do this review today, it's still November 21st. So that's why I wanted to review it, because it was released last year today. It was released during the Thanksgiving weekend. It was released during the Thanksgiving weekend along with other couple of films with DreamWorks Rise of the Guardians and Life of Pi. And in this film, I would say, well, I'll get to that in a second. So this remake, it's the remake of the 1984 film Red Dawn that originally starred Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, Leah Thompson, Jennifer Grey, C. Thomas Howell, Powers Booth, and Ben Johnson. And well, I don't know, what can I say? This film. Yeah, well, this film, so the cast is different, so obviously, but it stars Chris Hemsworth from Thor, the Dark World, the Avengers, who played Thor, and Josh Peck, from Drake and Josh. Mainly remember him from that Drake and Josh, that show. Just never cared for that show. Watched it a couple times because it's just that type of humor and those kind of shows. Just never a fan of because it's never funny for me. Also starring Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games films and Journey to the Mysterious Island, the first Journey to the Center of the Earth. Bridge to Terabithia. Also starring Adrianne Palicki, I think was also, yeah, she's also starred in that movie. She starred in the movie Legion with Paul Bettany and Dennis Quaid. Isabel Lucas, I really remember her from Daybreakers, the vampire film, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan from Jeffrey. There you go, if you can see. Jeffrey Dean Morgan who played the comedian in Watchmen and the Losers. He's in this. And this film is directed by Dan Bradley. And this was the first film that he's directed. Which when I looked up online that originally, if I remember, he's more of a more of a stunt coordinator. What I read. And he was in he played Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, but I think he only played Jason Voorhees for like a day, and I think after that he was fired, and they got a different guy who played Jason Voorhees for number 6. So yeah, he played like Jason Voorhees for a day, then I think he just got fired from it. I think that that the scene where those people are doing the paintball game, and that scene, I think that's the only, I think that was like the only scene that Dan Bradley did as Jason Voorhees was that scene with the paintball scene. I think the paintball gun, game. So then that was it, and the rest of the film was just played by another actor. I think it was played by C.J. Graham, who played Jason Voorhees for the rest of the film. So yeah, he and so he did the most of that of a film, like Stone Cold and some other films, but this is the first film he directed. Was this film, the remake of Red Dawn? So I was this film. This film was not. It was like when I first heard where they were remaking this, I was like, oh no. To me, watching this is like a typical typical remake, every other remake, whether it's horror film or other action films, Of course, obviously I knew they were doing this for money. I knew that, just like every other remake nowadays. You thought this could be good because we were gonna get released on during the Thanksgiving weekend, but it didn't do that well. So it cost $65 million to make, and it debuted at number 7 over the Thanksgiving weekend. It debuted at number 7, and it made over 40 million worldwide. So this film was a failure in the box office. Well, the part of the reason because this film had this also is a couple years ago. I read they were doing a remake of this. I believe it was in the year 2010. They were going to release this in 2010, but then where I read up that that MGM, the studio, they were having money problems, so they couldn't release that in that year, and they thought they were going to release it until 2011, but they finally released it in year 2012. And then what's funny is that another film that starred Chris Hemsworth that had the same problem that was going to be released in 2010 and it came out in 2012 was Cabin in the Woods, that horror film Cabin in the Woods, that also starred Chris Hemsworth and some other people, like the people that they were terrorized by all these different monsters, The Secret to Praise the God, I think, that film Cabin in the Woods. And also it's funny that both films got delayed in 2010 until 2012, and both films starred Chris Hemsworth, and it's a big surprise he dies in both films. I gave it away in this. I don't care. It's a remake, so what does it matter? So, but Chris Hemsworth, I did like him. I did like him in this film. He was one of the good things in this film that I did like about it. Josh Peck. I know he was in Drake and Josh though, but did not care for him in this film. It's better off he was better off doing the voices of Eddie, in the Ice Age films, from 2 all the way up from Ice Age 2, 3, and 4. He was voice of Eddie in one of the Possum Brothers, in the Ice Age films. I always find it funny as some actors, sometimes when they do bad in live action films, sometimes I always find it funny they always do better voicing in animated films, This is me though. Yeah, so Josh Peck, he was better at voicing Eddie in the Ice Age films, the Possum Brothers, Crash and Eddie, he voiced Eddie. So yeah. Josh Hutcherson, I did like him in Journey 2 more than the first film. I like the first Journey to the Center of the Earth, but I just liked him more in the sequel, Journey to the Mysterious Island, with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Michael Caine. I liked him in that film. I didn't mind him in the first Hunger Games film. I'll have to see, and when the sequel comes out, I believe it comes out tomorrow, November 22nd. Just making sure about the day, I did not mind Josh Hutcherson in the first Hunger Games though, and I liked him in Journey 2. In this film, I would say about. I guess he was okay at best. I would say that because I like Josh Hutcherson, and I like Chris Hemsworth. Josh Peck I did not. The two actresses, Adrianne Palicki and Isabel Lucas. But But I did like Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Sergeant Tanner, who in this because he played Powers Booth's character in the original film. I did like him in this. I did like him in this film. I guess that's another good thing about it. So yeah, I liked Chris Hemsworth, Jeffrey. I liked Josh Hutcherson okay at best, and I did like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Rest of the cast members did not care for. The main bad guy in this film because originally in the original film it was like the Cubans with the Russians, you know. But since of the problems with this, they changed it. Originally the Chinese. Originally they were going to be the bad guys invading the town. Because because a lot of times China makes movies grosses big on box office on other films because like for instance the re-release of Titanic, China made a lot of box office during the re-release of Titanic, which was surprising. They made a lot of money in China. So they decided they wanted to do the same thing here if they made the Chinese the bad guys because to get more money from China, But I guess to maintain access to China's box office, but they of course they didn't like it. But then they changed it so they made North Korea. So they made North Korea the bad guys. And the main bad guy who plays Captain Chow, he was not likable whatsoever. I did not like him. He had no personality to his character. To me, he was really forgettable. He was just another one of those typical forgettable bad guys in films. Just one of those typical bad guys that's completely forgettable. You don't care for. So getting into the plot, it starts with Josh Peck. He's the quarterback of the high school football team Wolverines. His brother, played by Chris Hemsworth. He just returned from the Marines. He's there for a few weeks, But him and his brother have a little dispute. They're sort of Josh Peck doesn't sort of talk to his brother because of a thing that happened in the past. But then the power goes out, and the next morning, the Koreans invade. And only this time, instead of like in the original film when the troopers just popped out of nowhere when they were parachuting down, and then all of a sudden the teacher got killed, Only in this time though, instead of just a few paratroopers that came down in the original film, in this film when Josh Peck goes outside, it's like 1,000 paratroopers. And this time it's done in horrible CGI, of course. CGI the troopers coming down. Although there were some real soldiers coming down in parachutes. They did that like when they hit the ground, but up in the sky, just typical CGI, of course. You have a $65 million budget. Just couldn't afford to have like all troopers just practically parachuting down. Instead, you had to use CGI. I thought it was also reminded me something that was like straight out of Pearl Harbor when one of the planes got torpedoed and it falls down, crashes into a house. I thought that was something from that. Uh, then they get into the pickup truck and they're driving. They find their dad, but his car gets wrecked and so but the father who's a cop who's a cop in this and tells him to go to the cabin. They drive out. They try to pick up the Josh Peck's girlfriend, Isabel Lucas, but failed. Josh Hutcherson and his friend and another guy, they get in back of the pickup truck. They're driving. A couple other cars follow. Then they see the car where the lead bad guy is. I guess like this Chris Hemsworth just allows the car to get slammed, And as both cars get slammed, I saw one of the kids that was in the pickup truck along with Josh Hutcherson and the other kid. He goes flying through the windshield. He flies through the windshield. I did see him fly through the windshield, but then all of a sudden he disappeared. Okay, and I was like, okay, what happened to that kid? I saw him fly through the windshield, and that was it. I swear he just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. All I saw was fly to the windshield and cut. He's gone. So I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if he's alive or dead. So moving on. So they escape. They get to the cabin, and yeah, this jerk named Pete. It was kind of a jerk because later in the night, when another car comes, goes and shoots at him. It's like, oh, and Chris says, "Give me the gun." He's like, "I ain't give you nothing." Goes and pushes him down. And then the next day, he leaves, and then later on, he goes and rats him out. Tells the captain, the Korean captain, where they were. So yeah, he's a jerk. Goes and rats him out. Tells him where they are. And then they have the mayor tells him, the captain gives him his word that if he turns themselves in, no harm will be done. Then Chris Hemsworth and Josh Peck's father tells him, to go to war and stop this piece of crap and die trying, piece of shit, die trying. Of course, different in the original film where their father, Harry Dean, played by Harry Dean Stanton, he yells, "Avenge me! Avenge me!" That was done a lot better though, and then the Korean captain, takes his gun and kills the father, only you don't see it though. So then later Chris Hemsworth tells him that he's gonna fight, and there starts training starts training the kids. And I see as they're training, they'll teach them how to aim. They're using toy guns, and he gives one of them like a water gun. How teaching them with using toy guns is gonna work, That was the dumb thing, training with toy guns and water guns. And teach them how to do close combat, learning, studying what's happening in the town, and then there's the sorry kill. There's another thing that was from the original where one of the girls leads some of the soldiers, and the rest of them pops out of the ground, pops out of one of the holes and shoots them. Then they harbor and they Oh, there's another scene that was like, wow, In the original, they do the same thing in the remake where they hunt a deer, right? They shoot the deer, and in the original they drink the blood, right? They drink the blood. But only in this time, because to survive, they're out in the wilderness. They get what you take, in order to survive, food and stuff. But in the remake, here, the Chris Hemsworth and Josh Peck, they make Josh Hutcherson drink the blood, right? They say it's tradition, which was what they said in the original, But he asked us how does it taste, and they said we never drink that. We never drink that crap. So funny thing is, I thought it was like, wow, what a really good scene because in the original they do this to survive. They drink the blood though, but they did drink the blood. But here it's them, you know, pretty much they're pretty much making fun of the scene. I would say. I was like, oh man, of course, alter some stuff, so alter some good scenes from the original. Um. So then they start. They said they're gonna create chaos, and so they set up in one explosion where Josh Hutcherson using a skateboard that has bombs attached to it. Then it caused them to make it explode. So I thought that was a stupid. I thought that was a stupid idea, making a bomb, making a skateboard a bomb. Then they hotwire a car to explode. Okay. And then they spray paint Wolverines. And then they set off another plan another explosion where this time we had the jerk Pete who ratted him out. Sees him, sees him because he's now like part of this collaborators who will help work with them. He sees them. And Josh Peck, says, "Hey Pete," and gives him the middle finger. Gives him the middle finger, and the guy says, "Wolverines! It's the Wolverines!" And the building explodes, and he goes flying. Yeah, so okay, I did like that moment where he gives him the middle finger. Okay, I did like the moment where Josh Peck gave him the middle finger. And then Josh Hutcherson and his other friend, Daryl, they're on this place. This was the most laughable scene. It was completely laughable. They find out they're in a subway and they they wanted to rob a subway, and Josh Hutcherson's like, fill this bag up with bread, no flatbread, just like how was the bread, Italian bread and other stuff, And his friend Daryl's like, turkey, ham, They robbed the subway. And again, they also have a bucket of soda too with them. They rob a subway. I thought that was the most laughable part in the entire film. Not in a good way. Not laughable in a good way. Okay, what happens next? Oh yeah, Josh Peck, he's worried about his girlfriend. When he sneaks off to sees her, in a prison outfit, and when he returns, Chris Hemsworth is not happy about it, saying putting everybody at risk by doing that. Then they're gonna have another plan where the Koreans are at this the sit down row where they're talking about they said they planned a bomb on the stage, so they can blow it up. And they plan a bomb to another car. And Josh Peck, he sees his girlfriend on a school bus, and he wants to go and get her. So he tells him to blow it up early. And then the Korean captain, he sees Chris Hemsworth in the window, and he shows him the timer on the bomb. Found that out, and it was an ambush. So Josh Peck, he goes to get the school bus. He does save his girlfriend, frees her, but another guy by the name of Greg, he was gonna run up after them, but then he's shot and killed. Pardon me. Sorry about that. So they escape and they head back. Then Chris Hemsworth, tells them, when you decided to run off, do your own thing. And Greg was helping you, but he was killed. But then he goes and Josh Peck I wasn't also another thing of I wasn't looking for throughout the entire film. Like Josh Peck, he has this face, this boredom face, like right there on the front cover. He has that like that bored look on his face, like he was looking bored out of his mind. This is his look throughout the entire film. It was just this bored look on his face, like he's completely bored out of his mind. That's what I mean. He was not good in this film because another one of the points on he was not good in this film because he just had that bored look in his face. I'm not trying to be mean though. I'm just saying though. I'm not trying to be mean at all, but I'm just saying. Um, so he for a few days he's been gone, and while that and then they were gonna one of the soldiers they were gonna execute this woman who helped them out, but then they shoot at the soldiers, and Josh Hutcherson he gets courageous and starts running over here on the roof, and they shoot at the rest of the soldiers, and he goes yelling out Wolverines. Wolverines. And Chris Hemsworth finds his brother at another discussion. But so I just watched this film and I'm already starting to forget what happens next. That's what this is. It's forgettable. That's what's happening right now. I'm forgetting what happens next. Make me forget this. Make me forget this film. Happens to that. Oh, okay, yeah. So later that night, the place gets bombed. Two people in the group gets killed. One black guy and another woman. One of the girls. They both get killed. But then later then this is when Jeffrey D. Morgan and two other guys come in. Jeffrey D. Morgan plays the Powers Booth character, Sergeant Tanner. Tells him tells him that this thing everything went down, EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Tells them, they need this certain box, that'll help them push them out, start fighting back. And tells them that, it was all because of people like you, the rest around the country are now free America. And tells them this thing, one thing is funny though because because the EMP electromagnetic pulse wipes out all electricity though. But funny is that people's phones work and cars are still up and running. So maybe not this EMP stuff doesn't wipe out everything, it doesn't wipe out vehicles and cell phones and stuff. I don't know why. So they go invade the police station where it's now where Captain Chose is, take the box. So they have gunfire, and Josh Peck he shoots through the window and jumps down and grabs the box. Josh Hutcherson's friend Daryl he thought he was gonna get stabbed by like one of the Russians. Yeah, there is Russians in this, just a little bit, and he got stabbed, but that was a stab wound. So, but he didn't know he was being tracked. It was a tracking device they planted on him, but he didn't know that. And so they get the box, and Chris Hemsworth he gets in a fight with Captain Chow. And it was not a well done fight whatsoever. It was like a lot of shaky cam that I didn't understand what was going on. It was like this. It was more like that. I couldn't understand that. But then he opens up a secret compartment underneath the desk. It was his father's desk. See his name tag there. Shoots him. Says you fucked with the wrong family, and shoots him in the head off camera. So they get back to their hideout, their new hideout place, and Chris Hemsworth, gives his brother his first beer, and as he walks away, then he gets shot in the head. That's what I mean, like in Cabin in the Woods, he has to die, and this film, he has to die, Both films got delayed in 2010, and both films were released in 2012. Isn't that a shocker or what? And I did like him. And I did like him in both films, and he dies in both films. What a coincidence! But then they get out, and then find out that Daryl, he got tagged, but he didn't know it, and Andrew Plague starts getting mad and tells him, "You killed him," but he didn't know that though. So what they're going to do, and so he decides to stay behind while they get away. Jeffrey D. Morgan tells them we got plenty of room to ride back to Free America, but they decided to stay. This is their home. And Josh Peck, he replicates copies of speech that Chris Hemsworth gave early in the film while to train them. He says the exact same speech here, but Chris Hemsworth, he gets speech a lot better than he did though. So later in the night, they attack this place where the rest of the prisoners are being held hostage. They're shouting at Wolverines, and the rest of the team, they're in cars. They got big machine guns and rocket launchers. They start blasting the place, and when the prisoners, all the prisoners are running and one was holding the American flag. And then the movie ends. So yeah, this film, like I said, it's like what I expected with all these remakes now. So this is not good at all. But I would say it's not one of the remakes that made me so mad that I just want to break the DVD. It's not that. There are way more remakes that made me mad the most, especially the new upcoming RoboCop film remake. That film. Ever since I heard they're gonna remake RoboCop, I just blew up. I blew up. And I've seen the first trailer and then the second trailer. I was like, what a disgrace! What a disgrace to RoboCop. One of my favorite action films, and such a great one of the great action films of that time. And you give me this. So yeah, that's a remake. That's making me mad more than anything. But this, I will say that this film, I was not quite as angry, but it was a remake that did not need to be made. Even I would say this remake is better than the new RoboCop remake. Yeah, I will still say, because I like Chris Hemsworth, I did like Josh Hutcherson. Okay, I did like Jeffrey D. Morgan. Couple of moments I did like in the film, some explosions that were nice. I did like the moment where Josh Peck gave the jerk P the middle finger. Is there anything else that I think? Well, maybe. No, that's not a moment. But if I were to say that, as soon as the movie was about the end, one person was carrying the American flag. This is our country. We'll fight. But that's not like really a moment though for me. But I would still say that this film, I would say I do watch this film more times though, because this is another one of those films that you don't like though, but you just can't help but watch it over and over again. This film is just one of those, I still don't like the film though, but you just can't help but watch it over and over again. Everyone gets that feeling where a film that you don't like, but you just can't help but watch it over and over again. This is one of those films. I just can't help but watch this film. Maybe it's maybe the way the film is. But I did like Chris Hemsworth. Maybe that's one of the reasons, and a couple of the Josh Hutcherson, Jeffery Morgan. I don't know what the reason is. I watched this film. Maybe I would say it's one of the best of the worst of the remakes that I've seen. There are remakes I really do enjoy, but I'm saying out of the horror, not just horror films, but other remakes I don't like for. Maybe I would say this is one of the best of the worst. Maybe I would say, but I still say this film is much better. It's gonna be much better maybe twice as better as the remake of RoboCop. I would say this film was going to already say this film was going to be better than the remake of RoboCop. Like I said, I just can't help but just watch this film again and again. I don't know why. It's just one of those feelings that you just can't help but watch again, even if it's on a film that you dislike. But that's just me though. Okay, I just can't help it. I would still say it's one of the best, the worst of the remakes of the bad remakes I've seen. Maybe but I do say Jeff Craig on a 60-second preview. Action-packed and totally intense. No, this was not. I totally disagree on that. The film was not action-packed and totally intense. Yeah, there were some nice explosions though, but that does not make it action-packed. Does not. So, Dan Bradley, for your first film, yeah, you messed up. Even though I cannot say there were some, like I said, like Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. That was the first film that was directed by David R. Ellis. That was his first film, and he did a good job. Here, though, for this guy Dan Bradley, for his first film, he did not. That's me, because there are some directors who directed for the first time. They did good, and there's some directors who directed the first time did not. This guy didn't. He did not do a good job for his first film. I know it sound a little bit harsh, but I'm just being honest. So yeah. Comparison. I was saying about some comparisons. You see on this front cover, Chris Hemsworth was the only person that died. Josh Peck, who plays Charlie Sheen's character, I remember at the end of the film, I think he died because I thought he was kind of lifeless when Patrick Swayze was carrying him to the playground where they both grew up in. I think he was dead, and I know that Patrick Swayze he was gonna bleed to death. So I thought he died. Josh Hutcherson plays the C. Thomas Howell character in the original, and he lived in this film, but not in the original because C. Thomas Howell had his last stand against when the choppers were fun. He's shooting, he's yelling Wolverines, and that was it. And he died. Even though there was a scene, like with C. Thomas Howell did, the scene where they were in the snow and wearing the white clothes. And one guy was in the group who might have betrayed them because he gave information where they were. Patrick Swayze was not sure if he wanted to kill him or not, but then all of a sudden, C. Thomas Howell goes and shoots him with no emotion whatsoever. He just goes like, and turns the other way, not saying a word. So, Josh Hutcherson doesn't do anything like that at all in this film. He doesn't do that. See, Thomas Howell, he did that really great, He did that. It's like, oh crap! Wow, look what he did, He just goes straight up, shoots the guy, Just shoots the guy and just looks the other way and doesn't bother to look back on it. There was so much in the original. Hold on a second. Here it is. Here it is, the collector's edition. There was so much in this film that had how would I say? How I would say it? How I describe it? I would say that he just had no emotion when he killed that person. He was just cold. He was just cold when he shot him. And yeah. And there were more people who were willing to sacrifice themselves, like Jennifer Grey, when she rigged herself with grenades when the soldiers came and they blew them up, including herself. And C. Thomas Howell too, when he had his last stand, yelling at Wolverines and shooting at them, they died. As far as I can tell, there was a lot more. There was more Wolverines that lived in this film, but here, if I count, yeah, I think Charlie Sheen. I think he pretty much died in the ending of this film. And I think I think Patrick Swayze bled to death though, but I didn't see him really die though when the camera cut it away. I assumed he died though because I knew he got shot a couple of times like here and here, so I assumed he was gonna bleed to death. But technically, when the film ended, it was only two of these Wolverine survivors. It was one guy, forget who the guy was, and Leah Thompson, and that was it. Technically, they were the last two Wolverines that survived in this. But here, even on the cover, Chris Hemsworth, he was the only one that died, and the other four behind him, they're the only ones that lived of the Wolverine group, you know. Well, the Josh Hutcherson's friend Daryl, he gets left behind, but you never saw him die though. But I assume if they because he was being tracked, I assume if they tracked him, they would have shot him. But you don't see that either. So, but you never saw him again at the end when the film ended. So it was just these four behind Chris Hemsworth, and that's it. So like technically four lived, and there was only two here that lived. So a lot of people lived in this film, and more than this film, you know. Yeah, you got a couple of notable actors here, but there was a much more bigger cast in this film. Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, Leah Thompson, Ben Johnson, Harry Dean Stanton, Powers Booth, and Charlie Sheen. A lot of great actors in this film. Here you got a couple of few like Chris Hemsworth. I do like Chris Hemsworth in this film. Josh Hutcherson I do know of, and even though Josh Peck I do know who he is, but he was not good at all in this film. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So yeah, I was like I don't know more I can say on this. This film has a 6.2 on IMDb, but this one has a 5.3 on IMDb. I'm glad this film has a higher rating than this film. This film. Hold on a second. I want to get what's their ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. I just want to get that really quick for the original film. Because this film has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the original film, even though it got like a mixed reception, but I assume that this film has a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it deserves to be higher than this film though, but it doesn't deserve 53% on Rotten Tomatoes. It deserves to be much more higher, and 6.2 on IMDb could be a little more higher. This film, yeah, it deserves a 5.3 and go a little more lower and deserves a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah. So I don't know what to say. So this is the remake of Red Dawn, like I said. I would say it's kind of like probably on the best of the worst of the bad remakes. Even yeah, because this is one of those remakes that did not need to be made. I knew from the start it was clearly made for money, just like all remakes, especially RoboCop, which cost like $100 million, and like compared to the original RoboCop was like 15 or so million. I would still say this remake is going to be much more better, twice or three times better than the remake of RoboCop. I'm saying this right now. This film I would say is like 3 times better than the remake of RoboCop. Yeah, I'm judging before I saw it, but I've seen the trailers to him. I already hate RoboCop. To me, it's a disgrace to the original film because I love the original RoboCop. Peter Weller was outstanding as the original RoboCop. He always will be. The guy who was playing him is never is going to come close as Peter Weller did. So that's why I'm saying this film, the last time this film was like 3 times as better than the remake of RoboCop. And I hope that film bombs. This film bombed, but this did not cost $100 million. This cost 65. So I just hope the remake of RoboCop will bomb. No, people will see that. But what do I know? Some people are not going to listen. Some people are not going to listen to me. They will not. Maybe people will, but some people won't. But this is my opinion, though. So anyway, that's the remake. That's the Red Dawn remake. I just want to get out of the way because like I said, it was released November 21st, like today. Just wanted to do that for Thanksgiving during the Thanksgiving weekend. next week is, but I'm saying though. So that's a remake of Red Dawn 2012. I also say I did not like it though, but obviously it's still the best of the worst of the bad remakes. One of them, I would say. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next Disney film. Later.